Try my best not to make these voiceovers too long, but sometimes I just get carried away with the amount of stuff I want to share. But besides the fact, welcome back to part 2 of my family and ours West Coast trip in California. Hope you enjoyed part 1, and here we go after the second part of the series. To travel here to Universal Studios from the hotel in Anaheim, it took us approximately 50 minutes or about 40 or so miles to get there, so this is definitely a spot we wouldn't consider Ubering back because of how much more expensive it would be compared to what we paid for at Disneyland. And to start off, Universal Studios was a great place to visit. The red carpet entrance was magnificent to walk across and sneak in some photos when we had the chance to. We thought we were officially in based off all the restaurants we saw around us. And, the variety and seeing the whole bunch of gift shops, different stores that we were thinking that we were already at Universal Studios, but we didn't go through security yet, so we were wrong. And it wasn't until after we passed this area, of course you see a picture of King Kong, we realized the actual security was letting us into Universal Studios a little bit further. The Universal Studios logo surrounded by the water fountains was incredible, and we had such a clean look to take pictures of. The Harry Potter area was insane to see. Such a village resembling the movies. And I'm not much of a Harry Potter fan, or I haven't really watched any of the movies and know a whole bunch about it, but seeing all this, design and effort and planning that was put into this got me really curious to see what the rides were going to be like. And yes, we got the famous butterbeer, as you can see, a mix of butterscotch with soda cream and a foamy topping added to it. For what I can tell after seeing this area is that the huge castle in the background of these pictures is where the thrill ride was taking place. The ride was called Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and boy was it scary to me at the very least, when I first got on. My sister was definitely not feeling the same way as me, and she took the ride with a lot more comfort and ease. But me, on the other hand, I felt that it was like, my feet were dangling in thin air for the first time, being strapped with this harness and everything, which I didn't quite enjoy, but the ride was taking us through this realm of the settings of Harry Potter, with Ron Weasley, I believe, leading the way on his broom. I for sure felt that we were moving around and not just stationary the whole time, but the video presentation around us looked so real when we were in the clouds, flying through mountains and close to ground level. It's a ride of a roller coaster that you don't want to miss, and yes, the wait was well worth it, and an hour to hop on this one. I wish I could have taken my phone to record this, but they weren't allowed, of course, and I knew I would be the one to drop it for sure if I had the opportunity to record it. We did go on the Simpsons ride, but that wasn't, to be honest, my favorite, to be true with you, since it was a type, we were in this vehicle that did stay in one spot, and it did lots of vibrations back and forth when we were going into the tunnels, the house, and then breaking through donuts. Maybe we felt that way since we just ate, and my dad felt the same way when we went alone later in the day. And if 3D roller coasters are your thing, then by all means go on ahead, but this one didn't find to be the biggest wow for me. Me and my sister did go on all the rides, or we did go our ways, and we split up from our parents so we could make it on the remaining rides when we had to go down the escalators, since they were still under construction and in the zone of expanding their attractions. We still had the time to head on to the Revenge of the Mummy and Jurassic World, the ride, which were both great rides to go on, especially since we got to go on the water slide with dinosaurs pretty much. We didn't have enough time to go on the Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, since it was well over an hour of a wait time, and we wanted enough time to get some souvenirs from the area from friends and family before heading back to meet up with our parents. In the meantime, our parents were with Joseph and Emily, and they were chilling at the Minion Land, where they had the nice splash parks for kids, which Emily was glad to play around in. I think that does it for Universal Studios. So we headed back to the hotel for the final night, and the next day we were going to be off and ready for the great piers of the California and West Coast, starting at Santa Monica Pier, which offered beautiful views and some nice quick pictures while we were at it. It was great here, and the Route 66 sign was a landmark to visit, so we can say that we made it across the entire route to the final spot. Just kidding, of course. In the past, we took about a good week and made it all the way to Oklahoma, and then made our way back home since we were running out of time and everyone in the family had to return to work. We're still planning to complete the route someday, but we'll need to make at least 2 weeks free ahead of time to go after it because of how many side attractions there are along the way to visit, and these pit stops that make Route 66 so interesting and enjoyable to plan out. The amusement rides weren't open yet since we got here fairly early in the morning, but we forgot to mention it took us approximately 50 minutes from the Anaheim Hotel to get to the pier at about 40 miles distance away. The waves heading to the shore were awesome to watch, and for it being only about 70 degrees out, I still decided to go in the water where it wasn't as salty as I thought it was going to be, but definitely cold enough to give me the shivers afterwards. We even saw a tractor working in a fan from a distance, so that was something cool to watch, John Deere related. Next we headed to Santa Barbara, which in my opinion was a whole lot nicer with a larger pier and tropical palm trees overlaying the views we saw.
Pacific Ocean.
I went to shoot a few videos so we can send them over to our grandparents from the boardwalk area. It was fairly wide with lots of attractions around to spend some time on, but my parents were already too tired to go on the pier with me, so they stayed back. And I was alone, trying to catch some footage of what it's like to be there. This area is nice to stay for the night and spend a good day to walk around and observe what's happening around, and even catch a swim if the water permits for it. I'll get back with some fun facts for Santa Barbara. The population is looking at 88,255 people residing in the city, and there's 25 beaches that span 100 miles, facing south of a beautiful shoreline. Cuisine restaurants of over 400 are known for freshness and high-quality meals. This place is known for Roar and California Girls by the singer Katy Perry. She was born in Santa Barbara back in 1984. An oil spill that occurred here in 1969 had inspired to begin the very long first Earth Day the next year. A large Moreton Bay fig tree is said to be the biggest tree for its species, covering a whopping 21,000 square feet of full shade. To this day, Santa Barbara holds the third highest temperature ever recorded on Earth, when back in 1859 the temperature reached a scorching 133 degrees Fahrenheit in June. And FedEx's shipping company was the first office to be built here in 1970.
Zielone mamy. Resorty jakieś. Po tej stronie.
As you can probably tell, I'm speaking Polish in this next clip because I'm sending the video over to my grandparents, so just disregard it. I'm pretty much just showing around what the pier looks like before the sun goes down. Jesteśmy na Pier of Saint Barbara. Tutaj już jest restauracja na tym boardwalk. Tam są te sklepy, żeby kupować pamiątki. Tutaj woda. Tata został tam, z Emilką sobie siedzą. Tam strasznie daleko, już nie będzie widać stąd. A może widać, tam siedzą. O, wow. O! Ale tutaj jest widoki. Tam jest jakieś muzeum, nie, muzeum historyczne z morza. Duży parking jest nawet tutaj. Na pewno ze 100 aut może się zmieścić. Tam jeszcze więcej aut stoją dalej. Jestem teraz na końcu pier. Dużo łódków są. Góry z tyłu. Parking dalej. Restauracja, robią seafood. Drinki. Tam leci statek turystyczny. To jest duży boardwalk. Słońce zachodzi już. Porządne drzewo jest na tym podkładzie. Dużo górek, ale jest porządne. That does it for our time spent in Santa Barbara, and off we were the following morning to Pismo Beach. We were lucky enough to be here before 10 a.m. since the parking was absolutely free at this pier. Parking was fairly close to the pier itself, and there were really nice gift shops along the way, so we just had to stop by for some quick souvenirs while we were at it. It was amazing to see so many surfers early in the morning hitting the waves. The water was absolutely freezing, so I'm not sure how they could handle such an endeavor, but they managed to work it out, regardless of the chilly morning as well. We collected a whole bag full of oyster shells to bring back home so Emily could play with them in her sand playset. And don't worry, we didn't disturb the live ones with babies in them. Emily did want to take one because she was so fascinated by it. We chose the ones that were the largest and the most intact, with both sides connected, and some of them looked perfect with no cracks or chips at all. Some quick facts for Pismo Beach is that it covers 13.5 square miles, while 9.9 of that square miles is water. There are about 200, at Pismo Beach, there's something called Monarch Butterfly Grove, and there are about 25,000 monarch butterflies between the months of October and February. It is considered one of the largest colonies of its species in the country. Surfing is ideal for a place like this due to its calm waves and great location to learn as a beginner.
Tu by zrobił zdjęcie. Piękne, malownicze wybrzeże. Zbliżamy się do zamku. Jak się ten zamek nazywa? Hearst. Hearst? Zamek Hearstów.
Next, our path is taking us to Hearst Castle, located in San Luis Obispo country. County. This attraction was great to go to due to its interesting history. The castle sits on a hill 1,600 feet above sea level, overlooking the spectacular Pacific Ocean. Our tour guide was great and explaining everything to us from how this all began with the Hearst family and the inside behind them. The whole architecture was beautiful to see, with the great pool and coliseums surrounding its perimeter, along with statues. The gardens and landscape was magnificent, with much attention to detail, and matter of fact, there was only 9 gardeners that are in charge of maintaining the entire property and all of its upkeep. That's crazy to think that so little people take care of this place, keeping it looking the way it does. This began in 1865 when George Hearst bought 40,000 acres of ranch land. When the mother passed away in 1919, William Randolph Hearst, the son, had inherited 1,000 of acres and reached to the point of 250,000 in total. The estate's construction was still unfinished, with 165 rooms and 123 acres of gardens, terraces, walkways, and pool areas. The architect was Julia Morgan, America's first true female architect and the first woman to study architecture at Black's Arts in Paris. The place was home to a resort and hotel enterprise consisting of stars being its guests such as Charlie Chaplin, as I mentioned back in the Disneyland video, Marx Brothers, Mary Pickford, Jean Harlow, and more. William Hearst sadly passed away in Los Angeles in 1951. The remaining Hearst family ancestors gave the castle and its operations to the state of California, and it reopened for tourists in 1958. This tourist attraction brings 750,000 visitors annually to come and explore what this place has to offer. There was also a Hearst dedicated pier nearby, so we decided to head over for a quick stop before going on to the next destination, which is being sea lions on the edge of the shoreline, which you don't want to miss.
Spłoszona po świecie, pewnie milionerami są. A zamek zwiedzają ludzie. Tak.
On our way to the sea lions, where we parked just for some scenic views, and we saw a whole bunch of squirrels approaching us, and we didn't think they would come nearby, but Emily had some bread in her hand, so she was able to hand it out. Looks like they enjoyed it because they stuck around with us for a couple minutes, and they just kept getting unlimited pieces of bread pretty much. So here's some clips of that.
Teraz tamtej, tamtej. Tutaj daj, no. Daj. Daj. Troszeczkę, o. Chodź tu teraz. Patrzysz, ile tego jest. Tu na tej wyspie są foki, zaraz będziemy... O, ptaszek przyszedł. Zaraz będziemy oglądać foki, jak się wylegują na plaży.
It was intensely windy here at the Elephant Seal Vista Point in San Simon, but it was well worth it to see an entire population of sea lions. It was hard to tell if a few were playing dead or if they were actually dead, based on them moving or not, but simply they were just chilling on their stomachs and laying around. So that pretty much does it for part 2 of the West Coast trip in California. Stay tuned for part 3, where you're going to see Santa Cruz, Yosemite National Park, San Francisco. We'll see if I'll need to do a part 4, because Yosemite, we had a lot of footage there. And then there's also Lake Tahoe and Washington State that we could get to as well. So see you in part 3. Thanks for watching.
A to wszystko żyje i... Wysoka na wodzie. Śmierdzi.